like to thank everyone for being here. I'm Claire Dunn. I'm the Vice Chair of Park and Rec, standing in for Rose. I'd like to call the order to the meeting at 6:35 on Monday, May 7th. We'll open our meeting with public forum. If anyone in the public would like to speak, you can join us at the microphone, state your name, your address, and we're going to try to keep it to 3 minutes per person. So if anyone would like to speak, they can go ahead and talk. Chris, go ahead.
Alrighty. So my name is Chris, last name is Loban. Know some of you, not everybody. Just wanted to, I'm president of Guilford Little League, so we've been into this meeting a few times, and recently we had a meeting where Rick, myself, Rose, and Matt Hoey got together and talked about the status of the fields that we have for Guilford Little League. And we appreciate Rick's and team's effort to get the fields ready. We know it wasn't easy. We just had our opening day, for those of you who are unaware, on the 28th. All in all, I think we're in good stead. One of the things coming out of that meeting is that Matt had said that, in essence, to get long-term support, we need to do a better job of cobbling together more majority and more of consensus to get access to the funds that the town has. So we've got a few people here today, and I guess one of the questions that I have that I'd like to understand is exactly what that process is. So how do we build a coalition of support to get the support from a financial standpoint that we need from Parks and Rec in order to make future investments in our fields to improve the overall conditions. So I don't know if that's my 3 minutes or not, but that's the gist of why I'm here. So
now, in support, do you mean again buying bases and building backstops and
so
that type of support?
We bought all of the preparation materials for the season this year, bases and what have you.
It's been for years.
Which is the way it's been for years. However, I think the issue that we're having is that as taxpayers in town, we do pay a fair amount into the coffers, and I don't know, I would like to better understand exactly how the money is disseminated and how it's budgeted within Parks and Rec to make sure that we're investing back in the youth programs that we have in town. So, we, as I think we mentioned last time around, we just recently reconditioned the Bittner B field. Claire, I think your son played with my son on it. Came out very nice. We'd like to make future investments in other fields to go ahead and redo them as well. However, we'd also like to figure out how we can tap into the town budget to make sure that we're getting appropriate support for baseball. Not only ourselves, but we've been in contact with the other youth athletic programs in town as well. And I think they feel the same need as well.
Isn't that part of, it's not part of the fee in the registration of the kids that are playing?
Well, I think the concern we have is that we're kind of double dipping, right? So part of us as taxpayers here in town are paying our taxes, which goes into the Parks and Rec budget. But then we are also paying above and beyond to prepare the fields. So I guess the question is we're willing to raise money as where needed in order to make capital improvements in the fields that we use. But at the same time, I think we should get a fair share appropriated of the budget towards youth athletics as well, whether that's fields or whatever the the need be. I just like to see the town be a little bit more active in terms of supporting the youth programs we have in town. So, like I said, the big question I have, I just want to come out of here is to understand
The process.
what that process is. How do we link into that process? What do we need to demonstrate in terms of need? What's the timeline of it? How do we go about generating an appropriate ask to make sure that, the last couple of years we've had conversations with Rick and team, and I think, time and again, I think at the end of the day that process, comes to fruition, and it's one of the line items that gets cut. I'm referring to the irrigation at Adams A, and which is, fine. I get that is part of, it's low ranking in terms of prioritization, but at the same time I feel like, if coming out of the meeting that Rose and I had with Rick, I felt like, the need was really to build a consensus groundswell of support for that. And, we've got some people here that are willing to do that now, and I think we've got, plenty more. So we've got, close to 450 kids in the league, parents and whatnot, that we can, create that need if necessary. And we just need to understand, what's the appropriate way to go about making that happen.
Answer him to, or do you want to wait till you're?
Yeah, so, no, Chris is right, and the Adams irrigation is a perfect example. It's 3 years in a row it's gotten cut out. And I think Matt made the point that we put it in, we didn't take it out, came out at a higher, different level. I could just, there's a whole different board of finance, board of selectmen now, but I can tell you when we built Long Hill Park in, I'm gonna say probably 1994, I think we did that. I can't remember the dollar amount, but I'm gonna say it was around $50,000 that we put in the budget. It got cut out. 2 people came and spoke at the Board of Finance meeting, asked to have it put back in, and they put it back in. Now, I'm not gonna say 2 people would make that difference now, but I think the point is that when people from the community come out at that level, at the Board of Finance meetings, so they have the authority to take things out or put in.
Right.
So I think that, maybe that level, maybe when we have our budget process in
I was just
September,
gonna say,
October.
maybe when we start our budget process, that we reach out to the different youth organizations to get, not like your wish list, but like what you guys feel needs to be done and what you're willing to help us with and what we can put in a pot to see we'll go through, and then it really be working together to make sure at every level, the Board of Finance meetings, the Board of Selectmen meetings, that we have voices there. To say that Park and Rec did put this in, we worked together, we put this in our budget, but we need the follow-through to say, we need this, because we are the first ones to get cut.
Yeah. So if we could just get a better understanding of, how the prioritization happens, what the process is, what the timeline is, how we need to tap into that process, that'd be great. So I don't know, from a follow-up standpoint, if that's something you can mull over and get back to me on or whatnot. We want to work, in a symbiotic relationship with the town. And like I said, we have the funds, which you guys are aware of, that we want to continue to invest in our fields. But at the same time, we'd like to see the town, kind of hand in hand invest in the fields as well, so.
Suggestion clear, if there's any, like, field renovation projects, like Bittner B, it'd be helpful probably to come to the field committee too, because the field committee
Yep.
makes recommendations to Parks and Rec Commission, like when we did the money for Upper Cox to rip that apart, irrigate and everything. A lot of the impetus for that came through the field committee to this commission. So that might be a starting point, as the field committee members 2 or 3 times a year walk all the fields and then make notes of, hey, this is what we got to think about doing next year.
Yep.
So that's where a lot of that starts, so that might be a good place to start it.
Yeah, no, that's, I think that, that'd be good. We'd also be interested in any other perspective you have. I think, we're open to any and all ideas in order to get on and stay on the radar when it comes to the budgetary standpoint. So, the other ask that we have, since I have the microphone, I know I'm well over 3 minutes, is that, I think we know the conditions weren't ideal for field prep for opening day. I think we're in a decent place here. The next meeting that you guys are going to have basically is, the last week of our season. It goes by so quickly. So, we just ask that we, continue as, the in-season sport to, get the, our fair share of support from Parks and Rec and Rick and Tony, for the next 4 weeks, finish the season strong. That's it.
I think what we'll do is, Rick, Rose and I will meet and maybe put together a process of where we think that you guys should voice concerns and where we can help out.
Yep.
And then get you some dates on our budget process, where we'll need to hear from you guys while we're making our process, our budget. So I'll have Rose, Rick, and myself will touch base with you.
Thanks, Claire.
Are you the contact person, or is there anyone else that we should include on it?
Oh, you can reach out.
Just,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so, that'd be great.
All right,
All righty, thank you.
thank you. Anyone else in the audience want to speak?
Hello, my name is Dr. Heather Allure. I live at 645 Durham Road in Guilford. I have shared with the chair and vice chairwoman a letter to the group. I am on the Town Land Acquisition Commission. I'm on the Town Land Stewardship Committee. I'm the former chair of the Conservation Commission, and I was the chair of the East River Preserve Management Plan. And I recently asked to find out what the stakes were doing in the Woodlands Trail section of Bittner Park, and learned that that is a site you're considering for a disc golf course. I went and I took photographs, which I shared a link with Vice Chairwoman Kincaid Dunn for you all, because wildflower season is very short, so you could see how the stakes are in areas where there's a lot of wildflowers. I realize you put up wetlands flagging, which is bright pink. The area, if you were to cut down trees less than 8 inches in diameter to create this course, you would be having more sunlight reach the forest floor, changing the ecosystem. You would have soil compaction, and so all those wildflowers, they won't be there. And so I tried to document them because I don't know if at this time you've already done your botanical survey, but your time to do that is passing very swiftly. And I just want to say that I own a house at 300 Shore Drive as well, and I use this trail system all the time. It is probably the heaviest used trail system. It's used by many, many people, and I'm very concerned about a disc golf course going into that area.
Thank you. Anyone saying about it, or wait till we talk about disc golf on here? Wait.
Yeah, I guess it's on the agenda, disc golf.
Anyone else in the audience want to speak?
Morning, my name is Bob Gould. I live at 5 Spinning Mill Court. I've got 4 kids, 12 and under, that play pretty much every sport in this town, and I spend my days driving around from sport to sport. I would just ask that between now and the end of baseball season that we act very conservatively in terms of closing fields for weather or for wetness or moisture. We had some closures that we were told about at our last single A practice last week. We piled, about 100 kids onto one little tiny field down by Baldwin because the upper fields were closed, and it was tight. It was a little dangerous. I didn't feel comfortable with the kids, doing some of their various activities. I went up. The upper field was playable. No more wet than it usually is right around the dugout area where we all step and we go ankle deep into the mud. So with a short season and not much time left, I would just ask that we have as much opportunity as possible to get these games and practices in. It's a short season. The kids love getting out there and playing, and there's a lot of kids affected when the fields get closed. So I'm not sure if there's a separate criteria for the high school fields as for the smaller, younger kids' fields, but I do note that the high school baseball team tends to never get canceled, and their fields are always open, and our fields are not. So if it could please be judicious in that discretion, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Claire in the back.
Hi, my name is Doug Clark. I live at 869 North Madison Road, and I'm chair of the Land Stewardship Committee, which works under the auspices of the Conservation Commission. And I've recently become interested in the disc golf articles that have appeared in the Courier. And I, like Heather Allure, I walked in Bittner on Sunday and was curious to know more about the plans for a disc golf course in the forested area in Bittner. I do have a copy of a map that was apparently drawn when the commission was looking at installing a disc golf course in the Peddlers Park area, and I don't know how the two areas compare in acreage, but it looks like from that map that a disc golf course will take up quite a bit of the forested area in Bittner and would have a serious impact on the whole ecology of that area because of the removal of trees, 8 inches diameter and smaller. That would take down quite a few trees. And there are wetland areas. I'm just not sure about the appropriateness of at least what I've seen on this map being installed in the wooded area in Bittner. So I hope to be able to learn more about it. Thanks.
Anyone else?
Joseph Guerra, 500 Bluffview Drive, Guilford, Connecticut. I sent a letter to the board. Actually, apologize for the length of it. There's been an ongoing issue in my mind about the overuse of some of the soccer fields. The Soccer Club of Guilford, I'm a former president and held every position they had. I'm the former president there. I'm the former president of the state of Connecticut Junior Soccer Association. So I've seen a lot of use of fields over the years. I sent that letter as to try to clarify some of the issues. It's really, in my mind, about overuse of the fields. Rick and I agree that fields actually, certain types of fields need resting, and we're not resting them. We're actually using the fields beyond what I believe their capacity is. Fields like Adams used to be a showcase field. The club used to use that for games and kind of reserve that. We never really used that for practices. It's been destroyed. I mean, nobody wants to even practice on the field anymore. I guess I have a question about why are we selling town assets to outside entities, for-profit entities that are non-Guilford corporations? Why are we selling them, and why are we selling them at about anywhere? It depends upon who you talk to, but I finished a survey today. I got 10 different organizations to tell me we're selling our assets at about 1/10 of what the market value is. I'm not really sure why we're doing that. I mean, if it was a way to raise money, we're raising it at 1/10 of its value. If we're planning on keeping some of these fields around, we probably should be resting some of these fields. I guess I offered a list of questions. I have a whole bunch of facts, and if anybody has any questions for me, I mean, the club pretty much has the same number of players we've had, you know, plus or minus. We go up or down 5%, and I have the facts going back to 2003. We go up or down 5% every year. So I'm trying to figure out, why are we selling the fields when the fields are actually heavily used already? I'm trying to figure out, why are we selling those fields? So if the commission could actually answer some of those questions, I'd appreciate it.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak?
Hi, my name is Jo Kestner. I live at 131 Boston Street, and I am a parent of a child in a premier soccer program that is a for-profit club that feels very fortunate to be playing on the fields in Guilford. We grew up playing with Guilford Soccer Club for a number of years till about middle school, and then, you know, frankly, the club didn't meet the needs of our kids. And we feel really lucky that there was a group of Guilford parents that had started this and offered an opportunity for our kids to play with other shoreline towns and also have the opportunity to play nationally and even internationally. So we understand we're for-profit. We are happy to contribute to funding the improvements on the field, which is what we understand our club pays for. We also know that there has been some discussion about this and a lot of concern about it. And frankly, we feel like there's been a lot of sort of salacious commentary about the club. And it's a little unsettling because we think it is an asset to the town. And as a parent, as a past team manager, there is an effort to be sportsmen, athletes, to have integrity, to take care of our stuff. I mean, it's just a little outrageous, some of the correspondence that I've been reading. And I just wanted to come here and give a face to the club and let you know that we take it very seriously. And we're looking forward to working with you to support the good condition, continued good condition, and active use of our fields. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak? All right. We will close the public forum section and move on to correspondence. So we had correspondence from Jo Guerra that you guys were emailed. You guys saw Heather's email, and then let's go on. We had a note from Liza Petra informing us that the Guilford Interact Youth Advisory Group has awarded us $1,000 in support of the disc golf, which is outstanding. And Rick just handed us one from Rita Holmberg. Thanking us for the new tables for the bridge club.
Well, we didn't buy it just for the Bridge Club.
No, well, she's from the Bridge Club,
Yeah.
so they were happy to have nice, new sturdy tables. And that was it for correspondence. You guys can read Rick's response to everyone in those emails. We can move on to approval of the minutes. Can I get a motion to accept our April minutes?
I make a motion to accept the April minutes.
I'll second.
Excellent. Are there any questions, changes, corrections to the minutes? Seeing no changes, corrections, or anything, can we get a motion to approve our April 2nd minutes? No, we accepted to look at them and make changes. Now we have to accept that they are correct. So
I
now we
make a motion that they are correct and acceptable.
Excellent.
I will second that.
Fabulous, thank you. Ouch. And we will do the same for expenditures for April. So we need a motion to approve, accept them, to look at them.
Make a motion to accept.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any questions regarding the expenditures?
I'm not sure if the total, I wrote it in, I don't know if I,
Okay.
the total of everything at the bottom line would be $91,331.66. That's taken the, $91,331.66. That's taking all our normal bills, and then the, we separated out the ones from the high school project, high school facility there. So we totaled them together, that's what it is.
And just, different format. Next month, we'll go back to normal.
Yeah.
So if no one has questions on them or concerns about them,
Just real quick, what was the big charge from ThyssenKrupp for this one, 405? We have a repair or something?
It might be the quarterly,
Okay. Okay. Oh, the maintenance.
the
fee.
elevator, that's the elevator maintenance contract, yeah.
Okay. And then the one from the electrician? Oh, that's light repair.
That was at
Okay.
Bittner Park, yeah, a lot of, some of the parking lot lights were not working, and I wanted to get them fixed, because, actively, that Little League's up there and soccer in the evening, I want to make sure there was light in the parking lot, so we got them up there to get it done.
any other questions? All right, can we get a motion to approve the expenditures in $91,331.66?
I'll make a motion to approve the expenditures of $91,360.
31. 66 cents. All right, do we have a second?
I'll second. I'll let you second.
Fabulous. All right, moving on, department reports. 6A is Rick Maynard.
I'll just highlight one thing, if you have questions and others you can, but number 10, the benthic barriers at Lake Quantipoc swim area. We put those out about 2 weeks ago, I guess, and they'll come back in about 2 more weeks. You got to keep them out for about a month to smother all the weeds in the swim area. And I just have to give a shout out to Greg Bugby from the Connecticut Agricultural Experimental Station. Every year he volunteers with one of his staff to come with a boat. They drag them out, and we usually have Tony, our park foreman, and one of our other seasonal guys, and myself are out there, and stake them in. If you go by Lake Quantipoc, you see all the stakes on the beach and ropes attached to them. And I'm hoping this might be we might not have to do this next year. It is pretty labor intensive to put these out, but they work. And it's more labor intensive to take them in. But I think when we got them, they said that, do it a couple of years and then you probably can skip a year or two. But I've already asked Greg Bugby, he also does the underwater survey of not underwater, but he's got a camera that, he doesn't go underwater, he says, does a survey of the weeds in the lake. And he'll look at it in the fall or next spring again. And if it looks like there's pretty good control, we may have to put them back out next year and skip a year. But they are successful, very, very effective.
If we skip a year, would we move to another area, or is that specifically
just the
for the
swim area.
beach?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Because the other areas are using the grant with the weeds.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. And All Habitat has the contract to do, starting sometime in June, I think, to do some of the treatments of the north end again, by the boat launch area, and about 10 acres in that area. I think it's around 8 acres in the middle of the lake, and then the very south end of the lake where all the lily pads were last year. They treated the lily pads, and they're going to treat a different weed there this year. So that was effective last year. They're going to go after some more.
Any questions for Rick on his report? Okay, move on to Tony Anicelli's report. As always, thorough.
Yeah, I think it was mostly a four-letter word. Most of April, it was rain. And then he saw sun, as he said when he was writing the report last week. And it kind of optimistic good news, about two-thirds of the way down, snow equipment serviced and stored. So the plows are off the trucks. But if you remember, we had some snow in April this year. So, yeah, the guys are pretty flat out.
Are the picnic tables you did, is that for the beaches or is that for everywhere? Like they were dispersed
Everywhere. I mean, so we renovate them, they bring them in, the ones that need to be repainted, they repaint them. If there's some boards that have to be replaced, they replace them. But we also built 10 new ones that we use at Jacobs. Because don't forget, we're going to have the new platform there. And we'll need some extra picnic tables for that. And it seems like we're always short anyway, and so we built some more over the winter.
I see that they were able to top dress and seed Adams baseball and soccer field.
Yeah, the outfield of the baseball field and the whole soccer field. And they did it, and 2 days later, we got a little snowstorm. So it got watered in. But yeah, they top dressed and seeded that. And we have a contractor that we were trying to get here 2 weeks ago, but he was backed up like everybody is. And he's coming, hopefully next week. He's going to be aerating the outfield of Adams baseball field and the soccer field, and then the high school baseball field and the new sod practice field at the high school. It's a slit aeration. It's something we put in our budget to purchase, which will help, all of our fields in the future. It relieves compaction, and in the past, what we have it's an aerovator where basically it goes in and it kind of fractures the soil, and you couldn't play soccer on it the same day, or baseball. But with this, it's a slit, and it can go down as much as 8 or 10 inches, and it relieves that compaction. You could play on it like right away. So it's a new thing. We've never seen it before. There's a contractor that has one. We have it in our budget to get one in a few years, but we're going to see how this works out. He's coming next week to do that.
They're much better than the plug style.
Right.
Right, because
Yeah.
that leaves a mess on the field as well.
Makes a mess, and then it's a labor thing. You have to pull the plugs up, and then you got to come back with a machine and rake them back in. It breaks them up and kind of refills the holes. It's a whole different process. And the guy we've contracted with is his name is Mike Flowers. He took care of Rensselaer Field up in East Hartford for 10 years. So it's a guy who really knows what he's doing, very knowledgeable, and that's who we've met with and hired to come and do these fields.
You want to address the ball field work at multiple fields, including clay and stone dust?
Well, I think that was, Chris addressed it a little bit when there was a lot of work to get the fields open for opening day because it rained really hard the day before. And the guys went out, had them stay till 5:30 that Friday evening to put down turfus, which helps absorb the water. And then we had County Tony, a crew of 5 in on that Saturday morning. I think there were 7 fields that got ready. I think it was 6 for Little League, and then the high school had a JV softball game, and we got those fields ready. But there's still some work to be done. We still have to top dress a few areas, and the guys keep chipping away at it, and we'll focus as much as we can to make sure the Little League fields stay in the kind of condition they're in right now and keep them going.
That's probably where the 144 yards of topsoil, I imagine that's obviously to do those.
Those will go into, there are various areas we have to top dress. I think the Cox lower field, some of that went onto the field at Adams that we talked about. And there are other areas, off the top of my head, probably Nut Plains. There's one other one, which maybe Lakes, I'm not sure. There's one other field we're doing. Yeah.
Any other questions about Tony's report? Recreation Supervisor report?
I have a question.
For Ellen's or?
For Ellen's,
Okay.
yeah. So she's talked about discussing options for implementing credit cards at the beaches.
Mhm.
What's she looking at?
Mark, can you come at it, because you were working with her on the technology
Yeah.
updates.
So there are devices that can be used with like an iPad device, so a lot of vendors I know around town even have it.
Square.
It's a little, the Square, that's actually, I think actually that's the vendor name. And it literally plugs into the iPad, swipe a card, and then it gets sent back, it gets processed.
We use Clover for everything.
Okay.
But I know like the Square has the 2.75% standard fee for everything. Like I think Clover's varying depending on, I think I pay like $3.99 a year.
Yeah, don't hold me to the
Yeah.
particular vendor name, but I know that's the technology that's being used.
All right.
So obviously that eliminates kids,
think it's a good idea.
who are down at the beach handling cash, and what do you do with it, and,
It's
so
a super good
that
idea.
helps to, hopefully.
And I would go a step farther and just like say no cash whatsoever. We only take credit cards. That's what I've started doing, you know.
Yeah, and we
College.
started that probably 4 or 5 years ago. We used to have somebody come in here on Saturday mornings
Yeah.
in June to sell beach passes, because what happens, if somebody goes on a Saturday to the
Yeah.
beach, they don't have a pass, they got to pay the daily fee, and it's probably about a quarter of buying a beach pass, for
Yeah.
one time. And so the lifeguards, gate guards would tell them, well, go to the community center between 9 and 12, somebody's there, you can buy them. And it just, the convenience of being able to get it at the beach just is convenient. But now, it just takes away that whole element of having to worry about the young people collecting cash.
Yeah,
It's a good way to go.
it is a really good one.
Didn't we talk about slowly incorporating that this year it would be, if we could do the credit cards, it'll be credit cards and cash. Next year, it'll be credit cards only.
I think we have to introduce it.
Graduate.
Yeah. Right.
Great job. I'll just mention Earth Fest.
Yes.
I did attend that. It was awesome. Kids had a great time. I don't know if anyone else came. Oh, I saw Judy there.
I went. I
And
had a
our
good time.
pots that you guys gave out are growing, so nice job.
My pot broke.
Well,
They
it's still.
exploded.
Oh.
Go ahead.
But they were fabulous. Thank you. It was a nice addition.
One thing
Thank you.
that Ellen has been doing, you guys involved in youth sports can attest to this, that she's been emailing all the youth sports groups, if they're field closures, Tony and I will talk about it, we make those decisions. And then Ellen's just helping get the information out. And also, if there are schedules, each week she'll send a schedule out to each sports group, what she has in the computer based on what we've been told. Sometimes those change, but she tries to get them out, I think Wednesday, and asked, the groups, if there's any changes, let us know, so that Tony knows, because that's what Tony is going off of, the schedule we have for getting the fields ready. Because he used to get phone calls from everybody and pulled in a million directions, and we want it coming through here and not Tony having to jump, because every time somebody calls him and wants something done, trying to funnel it through here. So I think that communication has been helpful. It's not foolproof. We do get some mistakes here and there, but it's a lot of schedules and a lot of games, and sometimes there are some conflicts, and we're still trying to work those out.
Seniors Coordinator, Terry Holland Buckley. Always seniors have so much going on.
I know, I can't wait to
The senior prom is Friday night.
Oh, that's this Friday? I did say I would come in.
Yeah, I
Some
should have asked Terry. I'm not sure how many have signed up, but usually one of the groups from the high school comes to help with that, and so that, the young man will help, dance with the senior ladies that come and help decorate, and she's actually going to start decorating Wednesday night, because it's going to take some time, but I believe it's Take Two and Call Me in the Morning is the group playing, the Doctors. Yeah, I think they're playing. But, I think my wife already asked me to take her to it. It's a fun event. Seniors love it. One year, we actually had a limousine, and we gave them a limousine ride down to the marina and back, and
Oh, that's
place to
cute.
get photos taken and everything. It was pretty fun. Yeah.
Any other comments, questions about Terry's report? All right, so we can go ahead and move on to report of commission staff, representatives to commissions, standing field commissions. John is not here, so Rick, I'm going to put that on you.
I can tell you the two main things we did, as I mentioned earlier, the field committee walks all the fields in the fall and spring, and so they walked them all. There's a list that Paul Schmidt, the chairman, usually makes of things that we have to look at, take care of. And the biggest issue is the synthetic turf field at the high school, which is kind of, everybody keeps asking me about that. We had a meeting Friday here with the town attorney, all the
Players of the companies?
oh, yeah, all the companies involved with the project, the designer, the company that represents the shock pad that goes underneath, the carpet company, and the installer, the company that did the work. Matt Hoey was there at the meeting. He actually started the meeting off, and Paul Schmidt and John Kennedy for the field committee. And our consultants from Castle Booz Associates, they were there. And so there was a lot of discussion about what everyone thinks the cause was. It's not been finalized, the agreement on what that is. We're waiting for a final report from everybody, I think, either this week or next week. But the target is that it all has to be completed by early August or mid-August, I think. But that's the goal, to have it ready for the fall. I'll say that I think everyone's being cooperative. They're all professional companies. They know what they're doing. They're smart. The field is under warranty. No one knows for sure what the issue is. There's some talk about maybe just freeze thaw, and we kind of happened after a very, very deep cold spell that we had in around January 1st. Remember, it was like 4 or 5 degrees out. But there's not 100% agreement on it yet, so that's why we have a private independent consultant that's going to evaluate what these companies are thinking may be the problem. They're testing materials. They're bringing the shock pad into these labs. They're going into like a cold lab where they can try to imitate or replicate what might have happened. Get into that below deep freeze situation. Find out if the carpet, is there a problem with the carpet? Is it the infill, the sand infill? Is it was it not draining properly, or is it the shock pad? So it's not concluded yet. We'll be getting a report from the parties involved and the consultant to identify what happened. And if I can, I don't know how many people saw Channel 8, but I need to clear something up. I was interviewed at Channel 8. They called Matt Hoey. Matt gave him some information, and then they asked me to come up to the field. And I have to let people know, if anybody saw that, something was taken way out of context. And I think it's important for people to know this. They interviewed a gentleman who I don't know. He wasn't there when I was. I think it was a father, and he had some fairly, I think, good things to say. Everyone kind of understood, that we need to shut the field down. But the context of what I was saying was that we are all working together. Everything was positive. We're working together from the field committee to the Parks and Rec Commission, First Selectman, and all the contractors and the consultants. Everyone's working together to come up with what happened, what caused it, what are we going to do to make sure it doesn't happen again, and what are we going to fix it? What are we going to do to make sure it doesn't happen again? And so I think the question was, what kind of impact has this had on people not being able to use it in the spring? And I said, well, it's definitely been a challenge. We've had to move groups off to other places. And I said, but we've got everybody's on a field somewhere. Is it ideal? No, but we are able to move things around. And they're not in the best places, but we were able to make it happen. And I said, to make it safe and make it playable, this is the price we have to pay. We had to shut it down. So the way it came out on TV is the taxpayer, the man who overall his comments were good, said, I want to know what the $40,000 consultant fee is going to get us. And they passed me in saying, that's the price you have to pay. It had nothing to do with what I was talking about. I was talking about the price we had to pay is we had to close the field down to make it right. And I tell you, I wasn't really happy with that local channel. It wasn't GCTV. But I want to clarify that because people saw that and somebody asked me about it. And I said, that is not the way it came out. It was totally out of context.
Well, in the $40,000 that's being spent on the independent contractor was initiated by our town attorney, correct?
Right.
Okay.
The town attorney recommended we get an independent consultant to do this, have a parallel track, to have people involved try to figure out what happened, have the independent consultant also look at it at the same time, and then either agree with them or come up with something else. But yes, that was the town attorney's recommendation.
So it wasn't just a
No.
decision made?
No.
Okay. Anything else from Standing Fields?
No, I think that's the main thing right now.
Okay. Yes, no, can they ask questions on our?
It's up to you, I guess, I don't know.
Sure.
Just a quick question. So the warranty on it, is that shared across everybody that did the work, or is it shared with one of the entities that actually did the installation? Because that's a, I think,
Fair question.
to me, it just seems like if there's a warranty, you just use the warranty, and I get you would want to have it happen again, but, I would imagine from a financial standpoint, everybody's amicable now, but when it gets down to the finger point, and one company's going to say, oh, that wasn't us, So I'm just wondering how that warranty is appropriated across all the entities that were involved, if it's a different installation company.
I'm not an attorney, so I can't give you a legal opinion on it, but the contractor, everyone else is really a subcontractor of the contractor. So,
Ultimately, it's a general contractor.
Yeah.
You would think.
right.
Yeah.
There you go, with a product defect, right, we need to determine if, in fact, there was a product defect, because warranty, obviously, that'd be very easy to solve.
Right.
At this point, we don't know, there is no conclusion as to how it happened in the first place. Was it the fill? Was it the carpet itself? Was it the way it was installed? So before, there's still the possibility for finger pointing and trying to determine where, if something went wrong, where did it go wrong?
It's happened in Bristol. Bristol has two fields. It wasn't the same issue, but similar. Something happened where the carpet was pulling away from where it was anchored around the edges. Holyoke had one that was a little more similar to us. There was something, I think New Hampshire or Maine. There were 6, 7, or 8 of them in New England, and at least 3 in Connecticut. Ours and 2 in Bristol.
But not the same company. Different companies have it.
There's some commonalities, not the same installer, not the same, necessarily the same carpet. The carpets are all made pretty much in Georgia. I mean, they're all made pretty much the same place. But there were a couple variables, but a couple things that were similar too. But, and again, that's for somebody else to figure out what happened and what we're going to do to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Any other questions for Standing Field? Green Committee, Rick, that's you again.
Really, the only thing, it was a pretty short meeting a couple weeks ago, was just pretty much reviewing some of the maintenance program that Tony's going to be doing on the green, trying a couple different new products there, and we'll see how they work out. But Tony's got a plan to reseed the central area, aerate the central area, where kind of the most use of the green is, gets beat up by so much use. Aerating that, seeding that area, spot seeding a few other areas, and fertilizing the entire green. And liming some areas where we need to lime it.
Land Acquisition Commission, that would be me. I have nothing to report, as I was unable to attend the meeting last week, but there is a meeting next month. So. But I can speak to the fact that we did purchase 52 Church Street. So that is going through. That is also on here under new business, but I will just say that we are not sure what the use of that building is going to be yet. That is for the Board of Selectmen, but that property was purchased. Technology, Mark?
I don't have any updates for this month. Continue to work with that one going forward on anything that.
Are you guys looking to switch like the web platform you're using, or I saw that in her report?
Yes, so it goes back to, I think, the company, it's Vermont Technology. Vermont Systems. That's it, yeah, so but there's a company that she's already reached out to in terms of maybe redesigning and making the Parks and Rec website that we all use today, but make it more mobile friendly for cell phones and tablets.
Oh, yeah.
And I think there was a contract that came today, I think, which I think Matt has to sign, so that's starting to move forward to do that.
Great.
Yeah.
All right, Community Center 25th anniversary. That was pushed to the fall.
Right.
I've heard nothing.
Okay. We will check back with Rose on that. I do know that it was moved to the fall. And I think it was going to be an evening event. Community center improvements, Todd, Rick handed out an email from Todd that just goes over the projects that they've been working on. So lots is always being done. The carpet, finalizing the specifications. You guys narrowed it down to 3, so we're definitely doing carpet.
Well, 3 companies.
Okay.
3 companies. Yeah, well, it's carpet, and we are looking at another option for a couple of the rooms, but these are the 3 companies that have state bid, state contracts. Their prices were the best. So Todd's been working on that. We still have to write the specifications and get formal quotes based on the specs, because it's got to be apples and apples, and it's got to be clear what each company is quoting us on. So he's working on that, but I think we've all decided we probably won't, it doesn't make sense to install the carpets probably after the roof gets done. Because who knows what's going to get tracked in and out, if a guy comes in and he's got tar on his feet. We want to not have new carpets and have that happen, so it'll be probably in the summer sometime.
And Todd's been working next door at 52 Church Street?
Yeah, he's been helping Steve Neidorf, the facilities manager, been doing a little work inside, just basically shutting off some electric. There's some wires that actually go to the outside, and we don't know what they're for. So he's shutting that off so that nobody, could get hurt or cut or something, hurt or shock. And I know Steve has had some guys up on the roof cleaning gutters. And I had our guys, that week that it was approved, go over there and start cleaning up the front so that right away the community will see it's going to look better than it did. I mean, it did already. And Public Works came in, they took down some of the dead trees in the back. So we started some work there already.
All right, if no one has any other questions, we'll move on to unfinished business, Jacob's Beach platform.
Nothing new. I talked to Will Thompson. Again, it's the products, the materials have been ordered, and we always knew it was going to take about 12 weeks to get them, so there's nothing happening yet. We knew this project was going to probably go into early July. I mean, ideally, I would love to have had it completed before camp starts and beach opens full-time, but they needed about 12 weeks to get the material.
Disc golf course, Rick handed out a potential plan for Bittner Park, and this was again created by Craig,
Yes.
who helped us with Peddler's Park. Now, this is not written in stone, has not been approved. This is the first time we're seeing it. This is just a plan. Bittner Park, we still have a lot of steps to go through, so this is not to say it is happening. So I just want to make sure that's clear to everyone in the audience.
So the wetlands are flagged. We need to do that, so Craig would know where the boundary of the wetlands is, because we have to stay 25 feet away from those boundaries. Anything within 100 feet of the wetlands has to be approved by the Wetlands Commission. And there are a couple areas that are close to wetlands, and so Craig and I are walking out there with Kevin McGee on, I think it's Thursday, we're going out. Because I want Kevin's input on this, if there's some areas that he thinks would be really questionable in Wetlands Commission, I'd rather get that changed now, rather than go to them, change it, and have to go back again. So, the Wetlands Commission would have to make those decisions, but Kevin can at least give us guidance as to, yeah, this is not an issue, or yeah, it probably will be. That's what we want to look at. There are probably 3 or 4 maybe of the areas that we have to look at. Meanwhile, as I said, we had the areas flagged by a soil scientist, so we know where the wetlands are. So there are a lot of stakes out there that Craig put out, way more than what we're going to need. But what he did is he laid out a potential shorter course and a potential longer course. So each hole, fairway if you want to call it, probably has 4 stakes instead of 2. Because or maybe 3. He made the tee area might be the same, but it maybe had 2 different basket locations. So I think that we probably, it would be good to get commissioners to come out sometime. We need to walk it, I think, so the commission, you guys know where it is when we're talking about this. But But the thing, again, I think we need to emphasize is I think people think that we're clear cutting the forest there. And what I should do is get a video, maybe I can bring it to the next meeting, or if we do have a public hearing, which I think we probably would, we'll get a video of some of the disc golf courses. When people see it, it's woods. It's like a trail through the woods, and far more trees remain that are taken down. And I think sometimes people think golf course and it's clear cut like a fairway, like a golf course, and it's not. The trees are an obstacle. I've talked to other Parks and Recreation directors in 4 or 5 communities that have these. They say that they have never had an issue. There are trails that go through them, around them, and they've never had any kind of issues, that everyone's respectful. Disc golfers are hikers for the most part. The other beauty is that they help maintain it. And we don't have anybody maintain the trails right now. Our guys, we don't have manpower to go out there and maintain them. But the disc golfers, by the culture of disc golf, they design it, they build it, and they maintain it. And I think it'll actually improve the property there.
So we wouldn't be cutting down a whole bunch of trees because disc golf is done in the woods around trees.
Part of the challenge.
Challenge.
Yeah. And I think the other thing, you remember at the last commission meeting, I brought the master plan that was approved by the former commission here in 2000. And much of this area where you're seeing where we're creating trails with a tee box and a basket were soccer fields and baseball fields. And, if people are concerned about the environmental impact of creating more trails of disc golf, think about if we decide to go forward with multi-use fields up there. We're talking about millions of dollars for one thing, blasting ledges, sod, trees coming down. It's a whole, this is I don't want to say no impact. It's definitely,
We're looking for the lowest.
it's a lowest impact compared to what this commission originally approved up there. So I think it's important to get the word out, and what we're going to do is, once we have the final plan, we want to get that out to people so they see it, because this isn't final. I don't want to get it out yet and have people concerned about it, because it may change considerably from the way this looks right now. But I think this commission needs to see it, and we need to talk with Kevin McGee to find out, do we need to move back somewhere here? Are we infringing too much on wetland areas? The plan that Craig laid out maintains almost all the trails. None of these trails have to be shut down. I think there's one area, maybe 2 small spurs that, like near number 12 there. I don't know if that's the one. I think it is. But this doesn't have all the trails on this map here. But there's another one behind the skate park that goes down, and another one maybe, 100 feet away. It's the same. It's parallel to it. And so if one spur gets shut, it's not really an issue because another 100 feet away going the same direction. So that remains to be seen. But this is kind of a sketch that Craig came up with. He's been up there a few times, tried to lay out different ways, and again, trying to put it in a way that would have very minimal impact on trails and on clearing trees. Here's the other thing. It's hard to put on a sheet of paper exactly where the location of the tee box is going to be. He said the way they build them, they locate where the basket's going to go. The tee box has to be flexible a little bit because you want to do it in a way to have the least impact on trees. So it's not going to be, if there are like 2 big trees right here, he's not going to put the tee box here, he's going to move it so that you're not taking those trees down. So it has to be a little flexible till you're actually out there doing it to have the lowest impact on tree removal. And again, you all know this because we've been working with Craig Smolin for a while, but he's an environmentalist, and he's probably the best guy we could have designing this. He's a disc golfer, but he also is an environmentalist. That's his profession, working with environmental areas, and he's sensitive to all that. So he understands wetlands, he understands environment, ecology, and everything. So we have probably the best guy we could have just working with us on this project.
Well, I think it's great that we're seeing support too, because we have that award from the
We've raised, with 6 phone calls, we've raised $4,000, which is about a third of what we need. And there are a lot more businesses I can call, but the Guilford Foundation committed $1,000. Now, I didn't collect any money yet. I told them it's not approved yet, but would you contribute to it if it comes to fruition? And the 6 businesses I talked to, all of them immediately said, yes, we'll give you $500. Yeah.
All right, so there's 2 things I'd like to do, is one, we would need the commission to walk out here with Craig to see exactly, because, I mean, looking at this is helpful, but not really. So we will need to work with you to pick a date for us to walk that. With Craig, maybe we can have 2 dates, so if everyone can't go on the same day. Also, Rose and I would like to have one of you guys step up to be the liaison for disc golf, so it's not always Rick, so that you can attend meetings with Rick on these discussions and report back to us. So we're making that a subcommittee.
Yeah, I can do that.
All right, excellent. Thank you, Lawrence. So Rick, will you touch base with Lawrence and fill him in on what you and Craig have talked about thus far?
Yeah.
We will need to have a public hearing so that the public can speak on this. And obviously, for the public, feel free, it's on our agenda every month, to come and speak on it. Send us emails with your concerns and your positive comments, supports on that. I'm not a disc golfer. I've never actually disc golfed, but I am eager to have one in town just because I think it's another avenue for families to get outside and be with their children, especially for those kids that aren't team sports players. Just another avenue for them to enjoy our nature that we have.
If I can just remind the commission here too, when we did the tournament at Guilford Lakes Golf Course about 1.5 years ago now, it was in November, we had 80 people came to the tournament. 40 of them were Guilford residents. There were people from other parts of the shoreline, even a few from out of state. But 40 residents, and there were 8-year-old kids, there were people in their 70s playing, and families. And so it's hard to determine what the need is or how many people in the community. I don't know. I don't know how many disc golfers are. We're going to do a little survey. We're going to try to find that out. But I do know this, that it is catching on like wildfire. I did a little research, and I believe it was Idaho. I don't know what the period of time was, but from period 1 to period 2, the number of disc golf courses in Idaho increased by 354%. So it's a trend, and it's not just a fad. It's been around since the 1970s, but it's growing like crazy. There are 27 courses in Connecticut right now, and people love it. It's, again, all ages can do it, and I think anything we can do to especially get younger people outside. The typical demographic is 18 to 35. That's the biggest age group that plays disc golf. But as I said, all ages do it. And I can see us doing some lessons with kids and adults to learn how to throw better, how to get that disc into the basket. And I think it's fun. It's fun. And I think that's part of our job, is to provide opportunities, recreational opportunities for people in the community. And this is something new that we don't have.
I was recently out of state at a customer, work related, but I happened to notice a local in the town hall that I was in. They had posted an ad for a disc golf event that was being held in this particular town in upstate New York for disc golf and combining with a music festival. So I thought that was a pretty neat way to join the two, and there was food vendors and this whole weekend all around this music music event along with the disc golf and food and everything. So that was I thought it was a clever way of bringing people to the park and get some recreation, get some use out of it.
Did they have pickleball?
I'm sure they did. I'm sure they did, Judy.
All right, anything else on disc golf? All right, roof replacement?
The contractor's been hired. I think I put that in my report. It's Rising Star Roofing and Chimney something, LLC. We're actually meeting at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning with our architect, consultant, and Steve Neidorf and Todd and myself, and going through parameters with the architect and start getting ready to get a start date for them to. We're also going to talk about, staging. Where can they pile stuff, and where can a dumpster go, and, a schedule. I mean, obviously, I don't want them banging on the roof, if there's a yoga class going on in the Minnetonka room, or 100 people in the Guilford room with a sill speaker, some concert or something. So we have to, we got to work out a little bit of a schedule with them, and I think after we meet tomorrow, we'll give them a notice to proceed. I believe they have 90 days to get it done from when we give them that notice to proceed.
Synthetic turf damage, kind of covered that
Yeah, I
under
think we did,
standing
yeah.
field committees. E-reservation fees for Chaffinch Island and Rollwood Parks, that's still in the works.
Yeah, let's table that if you don't mind.
We did,
We'll get on to that.
yep, we will discuss that next month. The commission packet, all right. So Rose and I thought it was important that we, as commission members, were all on the same page and had all the same information, so it wasn't constantly going back and forth. Oh, this one's right here. So we put together binders for all of you, so it has everything you need in it, and then you can just include your monthly packets as needed.
Oh, cool. I was surprised when they put these on an iPad or something. Yes, Mark wants to do that now.
How do we digitize this?
Does everybody have one?
Yep, so in here, there's, in the back, there's policies, there's phone numbers of people that you might need to reach, the commission members.
Oh, you have it?
Yep. It's the staff, yeah, and then one for Diane. The staff members and chain of command within Park and Rec. So in case you don't know who someone is down in the office, if you haven't met them yet, their names are in here and what their titles are and how they flow under Rec. The town charter's in here because Park and Rec falls under there. So there's a blurb about us in there. The town ordinance is in there. The parks that fall under our responsibility. So we broke it down with the community center, Adams and what's there, Baldwin, what's there, Calvin Lee, Cox, Guilford High School, Guilford Lakes, Melissa Jones, Jacobs Beach, Lake Quinnipiac, Chaffinch Island, Bittner Park, Chittenden, Nut Plains, Rollwood, Peddlers, Mill Pond, Town Green, the police station, basketball courts, and Daniel Avenue Beach. So each one is listed there and what is consisted there. There's the subcommittees, which we will now add Lawrence to disc golf. And then there's also the policies. So not every single policy is in here, but the ones that we touch base most on are in there. And as we create new policies, they'll be added to this as well. And then for the members that were on the committee before we did this, you have a copy of the budget proposal, so you can enter that in there if you would like. Lawrence and Tara, we did put it in there so that you could take a look at it for this coming October when we start the the budget. You'll see how it ends up looking.
Where is it? Where?
It should be, you should have one. Should be the last thing. If you don't have one, I will have Bonnie get it. I thought she was going to photocopy. Yeah, right there.
Okay,
Yep.
okay. Thank you.
And then in the back of mine, I just have the year's minutes and stuff so that we can go back if there's any questions. So we just thought that would be helpful for all of you to stay focused. So that's all I have on that. And if there's anything that once you go home and look through it, if you feel that we need to add to it, just let us know and we will get it in there. Unfinished business G, tennis and basketball court repairs. Rick, that's on you.
Just to let you know it's done. I think I mentioned at the last meeting that we needed to do some work in the high school basketball courts. I'm sorry, not high school. High school tennis courts, Lakes tennis courts, and police department basketball courts. And they're just about completed. I think over the weekend I got an email from the contractor that they were getting ready to stripe the basketball courts at the police department. I didn't get a chance to get there today, but it was not done yet. It'll be done very soon. And the ones that I did see look good.
I saw the tennis courts at the high school. It was great.
Anything else to report on that?
No.
All right, so 9A, new business, 52 Church Street, expanding the parking lot. I briefly touched on that when I talked about land acquisition that did go through the town. It has been purchased. Our goal on purchasing that was to expand the parking lot here, and then the Board of Selectmen is going to use the house for whatever they see fit. They're doing a usage plan around the town to see who needs what, and who can go where. So we don't have any information on that yet. Rick has already talked about Todd, and others have been over there to clean it up and make it look more appealing on the outside and take care of things on the inside.
How much?
Staging for the roofing and stuff?
Possibly, yeah, I mean, it's something we might talk about. We might have to make an opening in the fence.
Yeah.
You know, we have to break the curb, I think, for them to get in and out of there. It is kind of mucky over there in the back when it's wet. I've been asking staff, some of us have been parking over there on days that we know there's a lot going on here. So we can get probably 4 cars over there, so we're keeping one of the senior van, I think, over there. Todd's parked over there, I've parked over there, and I think Terry Buckley has. And so we've been trying to, freeze up a few spots anyway in the driveway, basically, which is the current sort of parking, was the parking lot for the dentist office there. Yeah, I don't know the timetable or timeline of doing anything in the back. I don't know if you're anything on that clear, but at least we, Public Works went in and did take down some of the big dead trees. And we started doing some of the cleanup in the front. The guys were, raking leaves and blowing leaves out of the bushes, trimming them, and, just kind of making it look a little better than it did.
My understanding is the parking isn't going to happen until they figure out what the usage of the building is going to be.
Yeah, if I could talk about expanding parking, so what are the plans, like paving it over, or?
It's from, I think, just in quick discussion about it, it would be opening up the back here and expanding us that way, possibly giving us 20 to 30 new spots.
Yeah, personally, that's a nice
So it
piece
would
of.
reconfigure
Yeah, I'm just,
our in and
personally, I
out.
mean, to buy a nice piece of property, now we're gonna put a parking lot there, how often is it gonna get used?
Oh, I thought about it
Yeah.
today driving here because there was no spot when I pulled in, and I thought, can I park in that lot? Because I know,
We
and
actually-
I ended up,
We had a meeting last
Parking on the
week here,
side.
and we ended up moving it, because
Yeah.
planning and zoning had a meeting and a special meeting, and you could not park here, so we moved our meeting elsewhere. And a lot of
Yeah.
times during the day.
It seems like a shame, though, like, buy a nice piece of property, now we're gonna
Yeah.
make it a parking lot.
Well, I mean, the building will still, the front of it will still
Yeah.
be, hopefully, the appearance that it is now. They said that they weren't going to do too much cosmetically to the outside, or they weren't going to tear down the house and rebuild
Yeah.
it. They were going to use the structure, and hopefully not change too much.
Parking is definitely a problem, I
Yeah.
think, it was today I counted 10 cars that were parked where they shouldn't park. Technically in the back area, that should be a fire lane.
Yeah.
And they park on the grass. It's almost an everyday thing, I mean, the use of the building has grown so much that it's just, we got no place to go.
Necessary evil.
And Claire, you went to the public hearing about it. I guess there were a lot of seniors went there, I think.
I was shocked at the public hearing about the purchasing of the property. They filled the entire room, and then standing room only and out in the hallway. It was, I would say, a lot of seniors, but a lot of parents that use the preschool program had emailed in, because there's times where they have missed classes because they've had to walk from the green, or by the time they found a parking spot
Yeah.
and walk their kids up here, there was really no
Yeah, I
point
know
to
I
go to
said
the
that.
class.
I love my car too, it's.
So,
we do it, though.
but it'll be interesting to watch the development of that and the timetable on that. Hopefully, they'll get us something soon. New business B, storage bins for energy improvements at Long Hill Park.
Basically, it's an informational thing for you. It's happened pretty much already, but I wanted you to know about it. So this is part of the energy improvement program that the town and Board of Ed have, where part of what they're doing is they're changing out light bulbs, like in every school, every town building, and I'm not sure what else, but at least that. They're also upgrading HVAC, doing some work here, or will be, which was part of our master plan. Some of this might get done sooner and out of this grant, rather than out of our budget 5 years from now. So some of it's going to be happening sooner. But they needed a place to put 2 large, I think 40-foot-long storage containers. And I was pushing for other areas that wouldn't affect really anybody. And for various reasons, it wasn't going to work, the areas I was suggesting. And so there were a lot of pushbacks. It's got to be kind of central. It can't be like, somewhere away in North Guilford or, somewhere it's got to be where they can get to them. So I wanted you to know that it's going to probably take up 10 parking spaces. I told them that spring is bad, summer's not real bad, fall is going to be really bad, because there could be 5 football teams out there, a baseball team, a soccer team, and parking is going to be a problem. But there basically was no place that I was told anywhere they could go anywhere, and so anyway, if you drive by, you'll see them there. So I wanted the commission to know that, and I tried to battle against it as much as I could, but it was pretty much determined that's kind of where we had to put it.
How long will they be there?
Till probably October. Yeah.
All right, new business 9C, field use policy and fees. This has been brought up due to communications regarding field usage. So in speaking with Rick and Rose, we feel that it is needed to bring back our subcommittee that formed this policy 4 years ago now? 4 years, maybe
Might be
this
more than
time?
that.
5 years?
You two were on it.
Yeah.
So we would like to appoint the old committee if they would like to take on that responsibility. If not, you can say no. To relook at this policy that we currently have, to work with the youth committees that we have, sports teams, using our fields to find out their need, what they're feeling, what they're seeing, and then investigate other towns' usage on their fields, how they run their field, who they're allowing to use them, and their fee structures as well, and then report back to the commission with their findings. So we want to work, we want to have some members of this commission, 2 members of the Standing Field Commission, and working with Rick. So John and Suzanne, you guys were on it, and you can say no to it. So John, you're happy to be back on there?
Oh, absolutely. Just
Okay.
pile it on.
When are we going to start this? This is
Um, We would like to start working on this now, so that we can get something.
I am flat out till May 22nd,
Okay.
so.
So do we have anyone that would like to step up in Suzanne's place?
Well, my question to you is,
Yes.
you want a summary by the June meeting? Is that your goal?
We'd like an update on where you feel you guys are.
Okay.
Nothing is written in stone when this has to be put in place, but if you guys can start your investigations and discussions now, and then have a report in June, and then we'll see where we have to go from there if it's not complete.
I can join later, but I gotta get through commencement first, so.
Oh, and your foot, sorry.
Yeah, and I gotta be able to walk
Anyone
and
else wanna?
have Band-Aids off my face.
Tara? Okay, so John and Tara from this commission will join that, and then Rick, you have 2 people from Standing Fields. It'll
Paul
be
Schmidt will have to
Paul.
appoint somebody, yeah.
Okay, so Rick, will you take charge in corresponding with everyone? Okay, so you'll find the field use policy that we currently have in your policies, and Rick also handed it out. Just take a look, if you guys as commission members have any concerns, questions, or need clarification on this, please feel free to reach out to Rose, myself, Rick, so that we can get those answered and help the commission, the subcommittee, form a new policy. And we definitely want to include those that spoke tonight, so we will be reaching out to you if we need further information. And we want to definitely include Tony, because he has the current field use schedules. So we want to look at everything on how these fields are being used, what needs to be shut down, how often. So we really have to take everything into consideration when we're forming our new, and we may find that we don't need to change anything. That's going to be the commission's charge. So anything else to add to that, Rick?
No, I think that's it. I know we already began looking at what other towns charge. I didn't get a chance to read it today because my computer went down this afternoon, but the Connecticut Conference of Municipalities did a survey on this, towns all over the state, and they have some results that they've sent me, but I couldn't access it. Hopefully by tomorrow I'll have that, which I would share with the committee, and they can make some decisions.
Yeah.
And then, and when you look in in the binder for the subcommittees, there's communications. That's going to be Rose and myself. We'll take on that. And that's just really going to be during our correspondence part of the agenda, just making sure that everything that has been sent to us is not read into the meeting, but just a little snippet of what was said so that everyone's voice is heard. We would like someone to join the Jacobs Beach Subcommittee. If anyone wants to join that with Rick, that project is in full swing. It just needs to be built now, but just helping Rick give the updates and follow through with Will Thompson and everything. So
What's
is
the
there?
construction schedule for
End of July.
Start date is going to depend on whenever they get the material, but it's supposed to be done by, substantially complete by, I think, the second week of July. So my guess is, I would say late May, probably.
that? Okay, I'll do it.
You got her on something.
You guys know, I've had a year.
All right, so if there is no new business from anyone else, is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, so we will adjourn the meeting at 7:50. Is there a second?
Second.
Great. Ouch. We good? Good. Thank you.